How'd you get Nicolas Cage to be in your movie? This is Tom Gormican and Kevin Etten. Tom is a writer, director, producer. Kevin is also a writer and a producer. Both have worked separately and successfully for about a decade now in US TV comedies. But together, they had one dream: to work with their big screen hero, Nicolas Cage. Okay, before you tune out thinking, yeah, but they're already part of the Hollywood system, how difficult can it be, right?
What could be easier? It's all alphabetical.
Stick around because this does concern you and your next movie. Although Tom and Kevin work in the Hollywood TV system, their background and previous work didn't actually make them top of the list when it came to being an attractive proposition for Nicolas Cage to work with. If they wanted to work with Nicolas Cage, they were going to have to do something pretty special to get his attention. And so an idea began to form. They would write a spec script for Nicolas Cage. Now, a spec script is a script that you would write without getting any commission to do so. You write it in your own time, unpaid, just for the love of it. It's your favourite movie that hasn't been written yet. But this wouldn't just be any old spec script in which they'd written a character for Nicolas Cage. It was going to be a film in which Nicolas Cage starred as Nicolas Cage.
I don't understand.
It would celebrate everything that makes him the acting enigma that we all know and love.
I'm wrong again! Wrong about us!
The idea was to write the script, get it to Nicolas Cage, and hopefully by seeing their passion through the pages they'd written, he would accept the offer of Nicolas Cage in a Nicolas Cage movie. And if all they got out of it was perhaps a lunch with Nicolas Cage to pitch the movie, then that would be enough, just to hang out with their hero over a salad. What could go wrong? Well, as it turns out, Nicolas Cage could go wrong. Tom and Kevin used their network to get their script in front of a bunch of studios, and to their surprise, a lot of these studios really loved the idea. Of course, this did come with one rather large caveat. It had to star Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage wasn't overly interested.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to.
You see, he had also been receiving telephone calls from these studios telling them that they'd read this script and thought it was fantastic. And once he found out what it was, he really had no interest in playing the role.
Do you understand?
In fact, he turned down Tom and Kevin at least 3 or 4 times. It got to the point where the writers were starting to think about other people, other actors who could possibly play the role. And not just any actors, but serious, hardcore, Oscar-winning method actors. Ones that might take the role because, let's be honest, it's quite a unique character to explore.
I never misspelled anything! Not once, not one time!
But the studios weren't interested. If it wasn't Nicolas Cage, there was no movie. In the end, Tom and Kevin decided to send Nicolas Cage an impassioned letter. In this letter, they explained that this would be a celebration of his work. This was a movie about their love of what he brought to cinema, and not just a role that was a caricature or a cartoon of who Nicolas Cage actually was. It was enough to persuade Cage to take lunch with Tom and Kevin. And once they got their lunch with him, they got their collaborator too. And the unbearable weight of massive talent got made, with Nicolas Cage starring as...
I'm Nick friggin'! Okay!
So how does this help you cast your no to low budget movie? Well, Nicolas Cage might be slightly out of reach for now, but there are thousands of recognisable, talented actors out there that you could persuade to be in your next no to low budget movie if you apply the same kind of techniques as Tom and Kevin did here. Let's break down Tom and Kevin's art of actor persuasion. The first thing they do is identify who they want, which actor it is they want in their movie. Then they consider what it is that might interest that person in shooting their movie. Are you giving them a role they haven't played before? Then they created a pitch, or in this case, a full spec script. This is going to give the talent full scope over what it is they want to do as filmmakers. Then they pitch this script to other people. This is going to give them proof that the concept works. It's their research. It's going to show the talent, in this case Nicolas Cage, that this is a movie that other people are interested in. And then they present their work to the talent as personably as is allowed. As in, they don't just stalk him on the streets and throw a script in his face. All of which shows how much they actually care about this project and the person they want to work with. And that got them their base level goal. It got them lunch with Nicolas Cage. And from there, a movie with him too.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat a-hole?
So how do we apply this kind of technique to our next no to low filmmaking masterpiece? Well, we might not be in the same league as Tom and Kevin when it comes to our screenwriting credentials just yet, but that's okay. We're not aiming for Hollywood superstar casting at this moment in time. What we want to find is an actor, someone who's been doing this their entire career, who's a few rungs further down the Hollywood superstar ladder. And I don't mean that in any way to diminish their talent. We're looking for actors that get regular TV work because they're damn good at their craft. This could be someone you see pop up all the time in different TV shows. It could even be a soap opera actor. Okay, you might have your own thoughts on soap opera actors, but these people work on TV sets 5 days a week. They most often come from drama school backgrounds. They know how to nail their lines and how to work at speed, which a no-budget film would require. And all of this before we get to the two most important factors as to why this is going to help your movie and the actor that you cast. One, they're going to give you a recognisable name and face to your film. And two, some actors, perhaps even most, who play the same role week in, week out, will give up some of their time for very little pay in order to play something entirely new. Because you're giving them the opportunity to actually exercise some of their acting skills that they rarely get to show. And this ticks the first two boxes when it comes to the art of actor persuasion. So pick an actor you want to work with and find a way to contact them. Next, you're going to put together that spec script. And for something like this, it's probably better that you work with something that's relatively short. A short film, perhaps 3 to 5 pages long, or maybe even just an outline as long as you have that actor in mind as you put it together. The reason you might only want to put it together as an outline is you might want to give this actor the opportunity to collaborate on the actual writing process too. And of course, you're going to let them know that when you contact them. And speaking of which, this is the point where you're going to actually contact that actor. You're going to write your very own impassioned letter to them. You're going to want to talk about their past work, how roles in which you've seen them play have resonated with you in your own life. And as a young or new filmmaker, you have a story or a script that you would love to show them. Then if you have any past work, you're going to include links to that stuff too. Now they may come back to you with a response that isn't the one that you're looking for. They may not have the time, or they may not be able to do it for what you're offering them. But they may want to help you produce, and they may know somebody else who's a recognisable talent that they can approach with this project and get you working with them instead. And I know this works from past personal experience. I've worked with people who have used this technique, who have written to actors and got their scripts in front of them and had those actors show up and shoot for a couple of days for them. And it also worked for me when I approached a Hollywood director. But that's a story for another video. So who would your no to low budget Nicolas Cage be? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear. And if you're looking for a story about the power of asking for what it is you want when making a film, then click on this video here, because it's going to tell you about the time I got Queen's permission to use one of their songs in my first ever short film. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, filmmaker.